Hey everyone. Hope you had a great weekend and a great Monday. So anyway, the high holy day holidays are upon us.
They are.
For our faith, which are the
Jewish New Year.
Thank you. Jewish New Year. So New Year's.
The brisket holiday.
In our family, it's the brisket holiday, which we like brisket.
We do.
So every time this time of year, it's just as if, it's just the American New Year,
Secular New Year.
Secular New Year. And
I gotta help her with
but
the
I
words.
don't go into the secular New Year. We go usually in secular New Year with resolutions.
Correct.
Of things that we want to do better, be better, achieve certain goals for the year, perhaps. And that's very typical for most people in America, I guess. I don't know if it's all over the world. Maybe it is global. But for this,
only here. I can only tell you here.
So I'm not a big fan of making resolutions per se, but I try to do better and be better all the time. But with the Jewish New Year, we've learned it's about forgiveness, forgiving and forgiveness.
Right.
And I think that at this time, it's a time to reflect and to think about, there are certain resentments we have. There are certain times we get really angry. There are people that hold grudges. So, hey, Jody. Well, we should see who's on.
I want to say, yeah.
Leave them on.
Then you can't see.
Hey, Debbie. Debbie's with us.
I know. And then you can't see the comments.
Oh, okay. You mean the comments will come up? Not the... Okay. So anyway, with the Jewish New Year, it is a time, of forgiveness. And honestly, it is a time that I think about, what does that serve us? The purpose of that anger, that frustration, that resentment, that, all of those things are just, they're toxic. They're...
Oh, yeah, they don't hurt those that you carry the anger for. They just hurt you.
Right. So it's twofold. It's like you want to forgive yourself. Like, did you do something wrong? And yet, there are some people, let's say, that are in AA, and Alcoholics Anonymous, and they take a vow, an oath, that they have to do certain steps. Well, kind of when the Jewish New Year comes, we kind of are told to atone, right? And to think about, and to ask for forgiveness. So I think we're all guilty. I don't know. I can't imagine anyone that doesn't feel guilty about doing something that they didn't want to say or behave a certain way. And sometimes you catch it and you ask for forgiveness on a timely basis. There are times you let it, right? It gets it can eat you up inside. And that very often is with relationships. It could be with spouse, it could be with a friend, it could be with a parent. And that could be much more deep-rooted. But I think the only way to the other side, if you really care about that person and you love that person, or you want something to continue with that person, is to really reach out to that person and ask for forgiveness, or just to see that other person's perspective. Once you've asked for forgiveness and the other person won't meet you even halfway, then you've done the best you can.
Right.
But I do think that, Robert works for an organization called Through My Eyes, and, he produces video legacies for those that are terminally ill, and the people he works with are parents of young children, and most of them are young children, are 21 and younger. And I think, you could probably tell us, are there regrets? Is there forgiveness that sometimes appears in some of those videos?
Sometimes there's things, there's regret. I did a live, earlier today, just myself. you could believe that. Where I talked about, having done over 250 of these already for this organization, and, you hear certain things with frequency, and you don't hear certain things with frequency as well. And like I said earlier in my other live, I never heard anyone say they wish they worked more. I can tell you that. The regrets, are things like not spending enough time with family, working too much, wishing they had vacationed more, just kind of the everyday stuff. Wish they were there more when, their kids were younger. But you never hear, gee, I wish I was at the office more. I wish I traveled for business more. You don't hear any of that. It's always, not having spent enough time with family and friends and loved ones and doing the things that make them happy.
But that talks about, that really leads into having time, which is a luxury. Without your health and without money.
But there's not a lot, I don't hear a lot of like grudge kind of things.
Or like, apologies, or wanting to say apologies for anything.
Well, it's very interesting because people apologize sometimes for things they have no control over, like getting sick. They'll apologize. I apologize for getting sick.
Oh.
And they're not really apologizing for getting sick. They're apologizing for what their illness prevents them from doing. Whether it's the illness itself, or in more cases than not, the treatment for the illness that really causes so much of the problem, from my perspective. That's the kind of feelings that are expressed.
Well, it's also, that's part of fear. So I think, the fear of the unknown, and the thing is that we surround ourselves with people. We choose to surround ourselves with people that we want to be with. And actually, when I went to see a show called War Paint with
well, before we change the subject or whatever, so you'll see you're watching, and on either of our streams right now, we've got a donate button. If anybody is so inclined, maybe this time of year, to make a donation, feel free to use the donate button.
To Through My Eyes.
To Through My Eyes.
And that would,
nonprofit organization, right, and helps us provide this service
at no cost
for families at no cost to the family.
To be able to live their hopes and their dreams.
It's only a couple of things criteria-wise. You have to have a terminal diagnosis, and you have to have at least one child under the age of 21. If you meet those two criteria, then the service is absolutely free. The only exception to that is if you are a first responder, police, fire, EMS, either professional or volunteer. We waive the child requirement to have a child under the age of 21. So if you have if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness and you're a first responder, you qualify automatically to have one of these video legacies done. So that's, if you're so inclined to make a donation, you can do so right there.
And he's doing something really good.
Yeah.
And many of those families actually, are so appreciative.
Yeah, we did one on Saturday.
But the thing is that, I was watching someone else's live video the other day, and talking about all the stuff that we harbor inside, and all the stuff that gets us so pissed off and angry, and just it just feels awful. Like, you feel awful, your head feels awful, your body, physically you feel bad, mentally, emotionally, and all those things are just so bad for your health. But how do you remedy that? And you have to figure out who matters in your life and why. And you don't always have to see eye to eye, but actually the woman that was talking on live, she was saying her brother, who, and this is nothing to do with me, honestly, even though it did spark up some stuff because of my brother, but she was talking about her brother was something to do with their father, and just didn't really know the real story or what really transpired between them, and always thought like, what an idiot he is, or or how could he do that, or but everybody has feelings. Everybody has feelings, and there is more than one side to every story. And I don't know, maybe my mother always said this: there's three sides: your side, my side, and the right side.
The truth
Is the truth, is the right side. But we all have our own truth. We all have different truths. So unless you communicate with each other.
Well, there's the truth, what actually happened, and then there's
Hi, Angela.
each opinion.
God, Angela, have you spoken to Lindsay? You got to talk to Lindsay. She has some good news. So yes, the truth is the truth. But the thing is, we see the truth differently. We hear the truth differently. We feel the truth differently. And sometimes we don't say what we mean sometimes. Sometimes, our words matter. I remember doing a Devar Torah. I remember giving something when I was sister president in Temple Emmanuel, talking about how words can hurt. Actions can hurt. But you know what? Only the people in your life do you really care about that you want to make sure you remedy that. So you want there to be some niceness, some loving, right? Because that's doing something loving for yourself. So a lot of people have a hard time saying I'm sorry. And that stinks, because the two little I'm sorry. Very simple. But you have to be real about that. You have to take responsibility for what you said or what you did. And at the time you might have meant it, and you got heated and angry, and or you did something, or listen, I disinvited, I can't even believe I'm going to tell you all this, but at our wedding, I was working with a friend, and someone else was in my bridal party, and she ended up failing me as a friend. I mean, she was not even happy that I was engaged. She was not really even there for me, and I'm thinking, why is this girl at my bridal party? What did I do? I actually asked her. I unasked her to be at my bridal party. Now, I don't know. That really wasn't so nice.
That might be a discussion for one of our other
networks. One of our other jobs, wearing another hat. Well, not
personas.
job, but yeah. Actually, that's true. We will talk about that on Wedding Podcast Network. So, anyway, I think it's important we all get frustrated, we get angry. A lot of people hold grudges. That is not good. Holding grudges is not a good thing. That harboring can only, it could actually cause havoc. I mean, I know when I've gotten crazy about things, and then I get all bent out of shape, and I tell Robert, and he tries to be the voice of reason, which he always is, which is a good thing. And I do get crazy sometimes. But, you have to... What?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
Sometimes you get crazy.
I get crazy. But I have so much love. And honestly, you don't have to... I love some people. You don't have to like everyone. And especially when it comes to family members. You're born into a family. You're not going to like all your family members. Mm-hmm. But you love them. And I mean, I love my family. No matter what, I love my family. And I forgive. I hope I would like to be forgiven. Publicly, I'd like to be forgiven if I've ever said, and this is to you too.
I have a list inside.
If I've ever said anything or done anything or embarrassed myself or somebody else in a situation, or... Okay. You know what? I'm not perfect. But I have to tell you, I have no problem saying I'm sorry. No problem. I'm not about bullying. I am all about inclusivity. I want people to feel good no matter what. So honestly, I would never do something intentionally. But do I get upset? Yes. I get upset when people do not actually consider me when they're doing something. And again, you can't expect people to do things as you want them done, or said as you want them.
Well, you can hope.
Hey, Debbie. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Linda. I was just thinking of you today. Oh, and James.
Just like Romper Room.
I love it. Hello, everybody. Hello, live viewers.
I don't know.
So,
if anybody remembers Romper Room.
I remember Romper Room. Do you remember the song?
No.
So, I hope Erev Rosh Hashanah is Wednesday night. we are so
That means the
appreciative to be able to go to Temple B'nai Jeshurun.
Yes.
Congregation, no, B'nai Jeshurun. Congregation B'nai Jeshurun?
Temple.
No, I think it's congregation.
Congregation B'nai Jeshurun.
And we're going to go to services with friends of ours. And no, Lindsay, you're awesome. And, oh, who's here? Anthony Quintano.
All the way from Hawaii.
Aloha. So, please, think about the people that maybe you said or did something that you didn't really mean to. And every year I think about that. And I really rather tell people along the way or get it out and communicate. I believe in communicating. I don't think that there's too much communicating. I think we got to think before we speak.
I raised $10.
Hey, Karen. That's so nice. It's so nice. We don't know who.
I don't know who.
Well, thank you. Well, let's say thank you to whoever donated $10. Thank you. Every dollar counts. That was very.
Oh,
we are
it
very
was Anthony
appreciative.
that donated.
Oh, thank you, Anthony.
That was very nice of you,
That's
Anthony.
so nice. So, whether you're Jewish.
Why do all the nice guys have to move to Hawaii?
Oh, thank you. He said he's enjoying our live stream. So, listen. There are a lot of temples that will be live streaming their services. And you know what? If you feel you need a little dose of spirituality, a little dose of our faith, because quite frankly, it's all about having good values. It's about paying it forward. It's about being good people. Good, kind people. But you know what? We all get aggravated and annoyed and pissed with certain things in people.
I don't get pissed. Do I?
You don't?
Do I?
Not like I do. Not as much as I do. Yeah, you get pissed at me.
Every now and then.
We're all emotional beings, and we all have our threshold and our tolerance of how much, of what we say and do. And do people realize what they say and do, and that it may make someone else not feel so great? But if that person doesn't speak up, or sometimes some people just stop having anything to do with you, well, something must have happened somewhere along the line. So just ask for forgiveness and forgive yourself and be forgiving.
And be ready to forgive others.
And be forgiving. And when you forgive others, that will open up, it'll lighten the load. That'll be one less thing to have to deal with.
I like to pride myself as one who lets people off the hook.
You do. You do. You're really good like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to let people off the hook.
But you know what? That helps me. It is freeing, Karen said. Yeah. It's true. But honestly, really, just don't do it to do it. Do it because you really want to do it.
Right.
All right? Because that's the lessons I've learned. So I've done things that I'm not proud of, and I've had lessons learned myself, and I try not to be a repeat offender. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's guilty of that. But overall, I've gotten bothered, and so be it. But most times I want there to be peace and kindness and ease.
Yes, that's the preferred mode to be in.
So forgive, and be good and be good to yourself.
Don't be afraid to ask for forgiveness.
Do you forgive me?
You talking to me? We'll discuss that later. We'll discuss forgiveness later and punishment.
Oh no, punishment. Have an amazing night, everybody.
See you around.